Welcome to today's talk, Tuesday the 18th of June. Now, I've got a very significant development from Kansas today who are suing Pfizer. Basically, it seems under consumer protection and description for misrepresentation of the product as I read it. Now, there's been various interpretations of this online, so I've gone back to the original source. Now, this is the original document here. It's readily available. I'll put the link to it. And this is directly from the official source, the state of Kansas. And we see the full document there. Now, it is a very extensive document. Just give you an impression, it runs to many pages of really quite detailed information. And I think you'd have to say pretty concerning information. Now, to me, the information given here looks pretty convincing, I must say, and it'll certainly be interesting to see how this plays out and how it transpires. If this case in Kansas is successful, I think we can expect cases potentially in every state in the United States and potentially in other countries around the world. This has got huge significance, and I'm really hopeful this will give us more clarity. Clarity would be good. But let's get straight down to some of the detail now. So first off, the heading here, and they're very upfront about this, Pfizer misled the public. So misled the public that it had a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine. Do you feel misled by the early information we were given? I feel dramatically misled, dramatically let down by the information that we were given, which now it appears was selective, if this lawsuit is successful, of course. So Pfizer said its COVID vaccine was safe, even though it knew its COVID-19 vaccine was connected to serious adverse events. And the key word there, I think, is knew. Pfizer knew, according to this allegation, including myocarditis and pericarditis. Now, they've actually written this one down. Failed pregnancies. And I still don't know if I'm allowed to say this adverse reaction or not, but it's there. You can read it for yourself. That's what is being claimed. Pfizer concealed this critical safety information from the public. Concealed to me intimates that it's a deliberate act, but of course that is for the courts in Kansas to decide. Pfizer said its COVID-19 vaccine was effective even though it knew its COVID vaccine waned over time, waned dramatically over a relatively short time, I would say, and did not protect against COVID-19 variants. Pfizer concealed this critical effectiveness information from the public. It's about informed consent to me. How can we give informed consent if we're not informed? Are you going to give informed consent? Well, but by the way, you're not going to be informed. It's a contradiction in terms. And I know so many of you are so angry about this, especially those who've suffered serious adverse events or family members or loved ones that have suffered serious adverse events. That's why I'm hoping for clarity from this. Pfizer said its COVID-19 vaccines would prevent transmission of COVID-19, even although it knew it never studied the effect of its vaccine on transmission of COVID-19. And we know that from various sources that this wasn't part of the trial. Because as we know, they had to proceed, what was the expression, at the speed of science. Never did work out what that meant. Let me know if you know what it means, because I haven't got a clue. Right. To keep the public from learning the truth, Pfizer worked to censor speech on social media that questioned Pfizer's claim about the COVID-19 vaccine. So claims there of censorship. And I think it's fair to say there's been some censorship during this pandemic. Let me know what you think. Pfizer's misrepresentation of a safe and effective vaccine resulted in record company revenue of approximately $75,000 million. $75,000 million from COVID-19 vaccine sales in just 2 years. Nice bit of cash if you can get it, I would have said. $75 billion. Incredible. Pfizer's actions and statements relating to its COVID-19 vaccine violated previous consent judgments with the state of Kansas. So it looks like Kansas precedents say or intimate for the court to decide that this is inconsistent with Kansas precedents. And I can't really imagine the situation will be too different in other states. I imagine all states, all countries, of course, have got precedents, things that have gone before. That's how a lot of English law works, apparently, on precedent. Pfizer's actions and statements relating to its COVID-19 vaccine violate the Kansas Consumer Protection Act. So that could be the way that it was caught. Of course, we can assume that the indemnity clauses that the big pharma negotiated were done by pretty smart lawyers. I assume pretty well-paid lawyers. But of course, clarity often comes through other means. Justice often comes through other means. Famously, of course, not that there's any relationship at all, of course, but Al Capone was in prison for tax evasion rather than being one of the worst gangsters in the world. Pfizer must be held accountable for falsely representing the benefits of its COVID-19 vaccination while concealing and suppressing the truth about its vaccine safety risks, waning effectiveness and inability to prevent transmission, according to the submission. And I'll just remind you again, I'm going directly from this document from the state of Kansas. And we'll be hearing from Chris Bobak in a minute, the Attorney General. I'll just make a few more points first. 28 million Kansans heard Pfizer's misrepresentation about COVID-19 vaccines. In May 2021, Pfizer advertised to Kansas on Facebook about its life-saving vaccines and its cures. Well, it's a bit strange, that really, because vaccines don't cure infections, they prevent infections. But that's what it says. It says they're making claims of cure. Really quite bizarre. I'll give you a few more of these. I've got a lot, but I'll just give you a few. Pfizer took advantage of Kansans' fear. Took advantage. Surely no one would take advantage of people's fear, would they? Of COVID-19 and desire for safety. Of course people desire safety. What's wrong with that? By offering a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine while concealing, suppressing and omitting material, information that undermined its safety and effectiveness claims in Kansas. Many other parts we could do. Pfizer used confidentiality agreements to conceal critical data relating to the safety and effectiveness of a COVID vaccine. Pfizer has kept data hidden through confidentiality agreements with governments around the world. Data hidden. We ask for data to be fully transparent. Pfizer used an extended study timeline to conceal critical data relating to safety and effectiveness of its COVID vaccines. Scientists were outraged, and many of you are outraged, that they still could not review Pfizer's COVID-19 study data. Pfizer's pivotal COVID-19 vaccine trial was funded by the company and designed, run, analysed and authorised by Pfizer employees. The company and contract research organisation that carried out the trial so the company that carried out the contractors, they hold all the data. So we would want the data to be released into the public domain so our own statisticians of the people, and we have quite a few of them, can analyse this data. We want Norman Fenton and Claire Craig to look at this and say, "Oh, this is what it really means," and several others. They're great analysts that could be mentioned that are very keen to do this. Pfizer used freedom of information denial and delay to conceal critical data, very well, interestingly worded, relating to the safety and effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines. Pfizer destroyed the vaccine control group, which will conceal critical data relating to the safety and effectiveness of its COVID-19 vaccines. Pfizer planned to follow COVID-19 vaccine participants, both vaccine and placebo group, for 24 months. Makes perfect sense, followed up for 24 months, check on the safety data. So if you had the experimental group given the experimental vaccine, the experimental gene sequence, compare that to the placebo, follow them up for 2 years, and hey, how are we doing over 2 years? But no. This says they destroyed the control group, therefore comparisons are simply not possible over a prolonged time period, which of course is completely essential. Once the FDA approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine through an emergency use authorization in December 2020, Pfizer unblinded the study participants. Well, if it's unblinded, it's no longer a blind controlled trial, is it? And offered vaccine placebo recipients, so those that had the placebo, the option to receive the COVID Pfizer vaccine. Of course, people were frightened at this time. And of the 21,921 vaccine trial participants who received the placebo, more than 20,000 placebo recipients decided to receive the vaccine. In other words, you were left with a control group of under 2,000. Now, this goes on quite significantly, but if that's given you a taster for it, then fine. Do look at it for yourself. Now, I must say this document is written in pretty plain English. I was, you can read it and understand it. Really pretty clear. And it goes on to talk about many other things. Do take a look at it for yourself. Now, I was going to play a clip of Chris Kobach now, but I think this video is probably long enough. I'll put that in a separate video, and you can view that for yourself, talking about Chris Kobach being the Kansas Attorney General, talking about this. But we'll leave that there for now, and thank you for watching. And the ability of this to be a precedent around the world, I believe, is huge. Let me know what you think, and if this is going to contribute towards greater clarity. But for now, thank you for watching.